Today I'm going to be answering some questions, some frequently asked questions about the Serbian language learning process. So to begin, I want to just thank everybody who asked questions across the social media platforms. Big shout out to you. I'm going to shout you out here in this video. It's a beautiful thing to see the community of Serbian language learners grow, and I want to see it continue to grow because we are doing something that is incredibly valuable. It's going to be a great journey for you, and I'm so excited and motivated to help motivate you to learn more about the Serbian language. So let's go ahead and get started with our first couple of questions that reached out to me across Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and email. Question number one comes from Shelly from the USA, and her question is, how long does it take to become proficient in Serbian language? There's not really like a canned answer, Shelly, and a huge shout out to you. Thank you so much for the question, and thanks for tuning into the broadcast. I have a few things to kind of consider. One, it depends upon what your definition of proficiency is. I'm going to go into what I think it should be. And the second thing, it depends on what you are doing. And so I define proficiency to begin with as being able to converse and communicate in a pretty effective and smooth manner in the language. If you're proficient, it means you're able to navigate across the tenses with relative ease. It doesn't mean that you've mastered every single aspect of the grammar. It just means that you can listen to and contribute to conversations and do so in a way where you can be somewhat relaxed and somewhat fluid in your ability to navigate across the tenses. And that does require a little bit of time and effort, but I want to go ahead and answer your question more directly. So, again, if you don't have a resource, if for those of you who are out there and you're like,
oh, I'm going to just learn a word. I'm going to learn a phrase. If I learn enough of those, I'm going to speak Serbian.
And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It would take you an eternity to learn Serbian if that's the case. And since none of us have eternity, you would die before you ever learned Serbian. So the biggest thing I can say is you need to get a resource. And obviously, as a contributing member of Serbian Language Podcast, I am going to advocate for utilizing SLP, Serbian Language Podcast, because it's a resource that has assembled everything that you need to be successful in your journey. But if you don't like that resource and you have another resource, go for that. But just find any resource that works for you and stick with it. A dynamic resource is going to do the following things for you. It's going to teach you how to read and write and get you literate in the language. It's going to teach you how to produce the correct sounds so that your pronunciation is on point. It's going to expose you to the structure of the language and help you understand the grammar. And it's going to also help you understand the why behind the grammar. So it's going to break down the why behind the what. It's also going to be a community where you can engage with and share with and learn from others. And it's also going to have multiple means by which you can practice your grammatical proficiency, as well as access to reading and listening to podcasts and things of this manner that give you a holistic understanding of the language, because a language, especially like Serbian, is incredibly layered. So you need a resource that's going to provide you with all the different layers that you need to achieve your goal of proficiency. So if you have that resource and you're making use of it by creating a study plan, you're knowing which days of the week, preferably at least 5 days a week for 20 minutes. And you hear that,
Oh my God, 5 days a week, 20 minutes.
That's nothing. You know how much time we waste? We waste so much time. If you're serious about your goal, you can dedicate 20 minutes 5 days a week and take a day or two off if you'd like to. If you want to go hardcore and go 7 days a week, I'm right there with you. Okay, but you have to have the resource and then you have to use it and build out your study plan and calendar it out and don't leave it to chance. If you're doing that, then you can expect to see some pretty big results in 4 to 6 months. Everybody's different. Everybody learns differently. For those of you who have learned a second language already, the process is going to be expedited because you know this process very well. I benefit from that. I'm a Serbian language learner, yes. I also have proficiency in Spanish and in Portuguese. And so coming into Serbian, I could really understand grammatically, oh, so that's how the language fits in. And I begin to view the language as a math problem, because language is where math meets music, right? So everybody's different. If you don't have the experience of learning the second language and this is your first time, I would say expect it to take a little bit longer, and that's okay, because your mind is having to make so many incredible adjustments, and you have to give it the time, right? Give it the space and make the investments to where your brain can then work for you and synthesize what you're learning. So don't focus on your end goal. Focus on the journey and falling in love with the process, because once you do that, the rest is going to follow. But I would say about 4 months after your start date, you're going to begin to see some serious results if you have a great resource and you have a great study plan to go along with it. And I hope that answers your question. And thank you, Shelley. Question number 2 comes from Christina out of Australia. And shout out to you. Thanks for this question. And here's Christina's question. Are there any shortcuts to learning declensions?
Oh, that's so hilarious!
See you. No, that's the answer. There's not really a shortcut to learning declensions. And you shouldn't hear that and balk at it and go, oh my God. You should actually be excited. There's no shortcuts to declensions because it is a foundational base of the language. People focus too much on the what and not enough on the why. Okay? All declensions are designed to help you navigate and filter through your specific meanings. That's all it's designed to do. The 7 cases are a means by which the meanings are filtered. It is beautiful. When I first heard about declensions, I was like blown away. But now as I begin to study it through Serbian Language Podcast, which has broken this down in dynamic fashion. So if you have not seen the declension breakdowns on Serbian Language Podcast, you watch out because it is tremendous. Okay, but suffice to say that there's not really going to be a shortcut, but you are going to have to internalize the why behind each of the 7 cases. And here's a pro tip for you too, Christina. Do not try to learn declensions in isolation. And also, don't try to learn them out of order. I've seen people say,
I'm studying 6th case right now. Next week I'm going to go to 2nd case. And after that I'm going to go to 7th case.
Right? So don't do this. Learn them in order, right? Make it orderly in your mind first. Also practice using declensions in English. And by that, here's what I mean. So if I wanted to say, I want to watch this film, what case should the word film be in? Da, 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 da. Classic. It should be in 4th case. Why? Because the 4th case answers the question, what? I want to watch what? This film. So this film needs to be in 4th case. Okay, so just do drills like that in your mind so that you're actually utilizing it in English first before you then try to make the adjustment into Serbian. That's going to save you a lot of time and help you do what? Internalize the why. We have time for one more question for today's broadcast, and so I do want to ask it. And the question is coming from Sarah, and this is a longer question, so I'm going to actually read Sarah's question. Sarah's from Canada. Sarah, thank you so much for your question. And here's what Sarah's question is. She says, my boyfriend is Serbian and speaks English fluently. He would like me to learn Serbian, but do I really need to since he's already fluent English speaker? Great question. Here's what I would say to that, Sarah. Number 1, he's trying to tell you something, okay? If he wants you to learn Serbian, it's because he can probably envision you speaking to his parents and to his family. Ah, the subtleties, yes. Because remember, everybody doesn't speak English in Serbia. A lot of people do, and they speak it beautifully. But a lot of the older generation may not have advanced proficiency in English, and so if you can speak Serbian, you can communicate with your boyfriend's family. And who knows, perhaps one day he might even become your husband. And why wouldn't you want to speak your husband's language, right? He is your boyfriend for right now, I get that. You guys are feeling it out, it's all good. But I would highly recommend you consider what he's trying to explain to you. And that's his level of seriousness, perhaps, behind you guys' relationship. He probably wouldn't want you to learn Serbian if he didn't think you guys were going to be together for some time. But at the end of the day, you can't get world-class or dynamic in anything that you personally are not passionate about. So where does your passion lie? Are you interested in learning Serbian? If so, perhaps it could complement you guys' relationship. But I wouldn't want to pressure you into doing anything that you wanted to do. But I would highly encourage you to consider it because as someone who's married to a Serbian woman, I think it is a beautiful thing to be able to communicate and talk to her family and also to converse with her in her own language. Remember, the language, our first language, is typically the language that we're going to dream in. And how special it is when you can speak to your significant other in the language of their dreams. So I would highly encourage you to consider that. Thank you guys all so much for your wonderful questions. We have so many more questions. I'm going to get to those in future Q&A broadcasts. This was the first one and more to come. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Was this helpful for you? Give us a big thumbs up if it was. And please subscribe to the channel and join us on this Serbian language learning journey. Shout out to all of you, and I can't wait to read your comments and any questions that you might have that I could answer. Shout out to all of you. See you in future broadcasts.